First and foremost, the very first thing you need to understand is that there's one of two different defensive shell coverages on the outside with the safeties that they can come out in. It's either double high safety defense or a single high safety defense. That double high safety defense is where the middle of the field is open, and the single high safety defense is what we call the middle of the field is closed. Okay? Here's an example of two deep safeties, so that's a double high safety defense. And here's an example of a single high safety defense. Okay, so the middle of the field is closed. All right, so I'll have them both here, and then we'll put up this graph. And now we will get to the most important part of the video. There are only 6 different defensive shell coverages that your opponent could be playing. And always remember this numerical sequence. I started doing this maybe about 5 years ago, and it is the core of everything that I do. It's made me 1,000 times better, and I know it will do the same for you. That numerical sequence is 4, 2, 2, 0, 3, 1. That stands for cover 4, cover 2 zone, cover 2 man, cover 0, then you have cover 3 and cover 1. I don't care what defense your opponent plays in the game, okay? I don't care what defense. It could be out of any playbook. It falls under one of these 6 different shell coverages, and I will prove that to you today, okay? So let's go ahead and go through the pre-snap reading of these defenses so you can know when they are in one of these shell coverages. All right, so let's start off with cover 2. Let's go out on the field. Let's get the pre-snap read here. So first and foremost, the very first thing you want to do is look at the safeties. Notice how there's 2 deep safeties. So this right away tells us that this is a middle of the field open defense or a double high safety defense. So it's not cover 3 or not cover 1. And the pre-snap read for knowing if it's cover 2 zone is the corners on the outside. You notice how the corners are 5 yards off. And one little tidbit that can help you out is looking at the leverage of the corners or the alignment that they are playing to the receivers. You notice how they're playing outside leverage on their counterparts across from them. Okay, that is because they want to reroute the receivers inside. Okay, that is how cover 2 is played on the outside. You want to help out your safety by forcing an inside release by the outside receivers. Okay, so that's a pretty simple way of reading cover 2 zone pre-snap. All right, so let's take a look at cover 2 man. Okay, so we come out as the quarterback and we take a look at the safeties first, right? And we see that it is a double high safety defense, so we know it's under the double high safety side. Okay, so we know it's cover 4, cover 2 zone, cover 2 man, or cover 0. Now we know it's not cover 2 zone because we know the pre-snap read of cover 2 zone. So it's cover 4, cover 2 man, or cover 0. And the way you read that it's cover 2 man is you see these corners in the secondary, how they are on the line of scrimmage and they're playing inside leverage of their respective receivers. That is the read for cover 2 man. Notice how they are playing inside leverage, trying to jam at the LOS. Okay, and the reason why they do that is because in cover 2 man, you're playing to your help. Your help is the safeties behind you playing outside. So, you know, the cardinal rule when playing 2 man is to not get beat inside when playing man-to-man coverage underneath. So that's why they play with inside leverage. So we see here that the pre-snap read for cover 2 man is also very simple, right? So now we know how to read cover 2 man or cover 2 zone. Now, let's go back and now we're going to take a look at another defense. So again, we look at the safeties. Okay, is it single high or double high? Well, it's double high. So we know it's not cover 3 or cover 1. So this is a double high safety defense. It's cover 4, cover 2 zone, cover 2 man, or cover 0. Is it cover 2 zone? No, because we know the pre-snap read of cover 2 zone. We see that the corners are not playing 5 yards off into the outside, right? So it's not 2 zone. Is it cover 2 man? No, because the corners are not on the LOS playing inside leverage, right? So we know it's not cover 2 man. So this is either cover 4 or cover 0. You see how we can kind of do process of elimination to get a pre-snap read on what it is. Now this is a cover 4 defense, okay? And cover 4 and cover 0 looks similar, okay? But you'll be able to diagnose between the two with some experience. basically upon the alignment of the safeties, okay? But notice how the corners were playing a little bit off, okay, and the safeties were playing deep back, and that is just a simple read for cover 4, okay? Now let's take a look at cover 0. How do we read the defense pre-snap and know it's cover 0? Okay, again, we come out, we look for the safety structure, and we see that it's double high, right? So the middle of the field is open, so we know it's 4, 2 zone, 2 man, or cover 0. Now, is this cover 2 zone? No, because we know the pre-snap read of cover 2 zone, right? The corners are off, they're not playing 5 yards on and playing outside leverage. That's how we know it's not cover 2 zone, okay? Now, is it cover 2 man? No, right? Because the corners and secondary are not playing on the line of scrimmage to jam and reroute, and they're not playing with inside leverage on the LOS as well, right? So it's not cover 2 zone, it's not cover 2 man, right? So it's either cover 4 or cover 0. Now here is where you can differentiate between cover 4 and cover 0. Look at the safety depth. You notice how the safeties are playing a lot closer to the LOS, and then also the safety on the multiple receiver side is playing a little bit closer towards the receiver, right? That is how you know it's cover 0, okay? And the reason why that is because they are playing at a shallower depth because they are in man-to-man coverage or they are in a particular blitz assignment, okay? So that is how you can read if it's cover 0. So look at that. Now we know how to pre-snap read if it's cover 4, cover 2 zone, cover 2 man, or cover 0, okay? So what about this side over here, the single high side? Well, this is a lot more simpler. Let's go ahead and take a look at this really quickly. So how do we tell if it's cover 1, okay, which is what I have on the screen? Cover 1 is always going to be a man-to-man defense. There is no such thing as cover 1 zone. And then how can we tell if it's cover 3? Well, the differences in how they align pre-snap are extremely subtle. So this is something you don't necessarily have to worry about. So again, you come out, you look at the defense, and you see that it's a single high type defense. So if the defense is telling the truth, then you know it's not cover 4, cover 2 zone, cover 2 man, or cover 0 because those are double high structured defenses. So we know that this is a single high safety defense. It's either cover 3 or cover 1. Now, against cover 3 or cover 1, I don't try to differentiate between the two pre-snap. Okay, that's something you don't necessarily have to worry about because a lot of the weaknesses of cover 3 and cover 1 carry over. And if you have something that's good against cover 3 to attack against it, then you want to have something that's good against man as well, so it's easier to kind of deal with a single high safety defense. So guess what, guys? You now know how to read any defense in the game. Out of the 1,500 or however many plays that an opponent can call in the game, you know how to pre-snap read everything, okay? If you don't believe me, let me show you. Okay, that's cover 1, that's cover 0, that's cover 3. That's cover 1, that's cover 3, that's cover 2. Now you may stop me and say, wait a minute now, that middle one, that's not cover 3. Well, yes it is, okay? Because when we're talking about pre-snap reading, we're talking about the outer shell of the coverage. Okay, so even though that they have a blitz incorporated inside, it's still cover 3 on the outer shell of the coverage, and the pre-snap read will be eerily similar to just a stock cover 3, okay? So that's what I mean by there really only being 6 different shell coverages in the game. Let's go ahead and continue. Okay, cover 1, cover 0, cover 3. That's cover 1, that's cover 3, that's cover 2. Okay, that's 2 man, that's cover 0, that's cover 4. You notice how nothing changed? We're still operating under these 6 different shell coverages. That's cover 2 zone, that is cover 1, and that is cover 3. Okay, now this first one, you may say, hey, look, we have something different here. That's not one of the 6 different shell coverages. Well, actually it is, okay? It's just cover 2 zone on one side and cover 4 zone on the other side, okay? That's one of the benefits of playing a defense from the double high safety side is that it's a split safety structured defense. In a split safety structure defense, you can play one defense on one side as long as it's a double high safety defense and another one on the other side. So I could play cover 4 quarters on one side and 2-man on the other side. I could play cover 4 on one side and 2 zone on the other side, and it won't destroy the integrity of the defense. Right? So the pre-snap read, you will see the corner on this side playing 5 yards off and outside leverage, and you will see the corner on this side playing off like he's in quarters coverage. So the pre-snap read is the same, right? So you notice how we still are within the 6 shell coverages, right? We're just playing 2 different defenses on both sides of the field, right? So the next one over, that's a cover 2 defense, okay? And then over here, it is a cover 3 defense, right? So notice we're not venturing out of 4-2-2-0-3-1, right? If you remember that numerical sequence and you understand how to pre-snap read all of those defenses, you can pre-snap read almost any defense in the game, right? That's cover 2 zone, that's a cover 3 defense, that's a cover 3 defense, right? Cover 1, and that is cover 1, right? So I'll leave it at that. I mean, the sequence you want to learn is 4-2-2-0-3-1. 4-2-2-0 is for the double high side, and 3-1 is for the single high side. Now, I must say, this is if the defense is telling the truth. The defense they're not obligated to tell the truth. They can disguise coverage pre-snap. There are multiple ways for them to do that, okay? But at least you know how to pre-snap read if they are telling the truth. The majority of the time when you play against opponents and you play a spread out offense like I like to play, they tell the truth most of the time. I would say about 80% of the time.